What's going on, guys? My name is Halbin Minaya, aka Cash Flow Entrepreneur, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 cold calling tips to help you acquire more clients over the phone. For those who are new to the channel and that don't know me, I own a social media marketing agency. I do Shopify. I used to be an Amazon seller up until last year when my product failed, which is another talk for another video. And I trade crypto. So without further ado, let's get started. First things first, guys, when you're cold calling, you need to have a good tonality. The reason being is that tonality is one of the most important things when it comes to cold calling, since obviously you're not in front of the person to make that face-to-face interaction and use body language and tonality mixed up to grab their attention. So with that being said, as soon as your prospect picks up the phone and you start your pitch, they are already making an image on how you look like based on how you're sounding to them over the phone. Therefore, you want to make sure that you're not sounding like old John who can't wait to go home and take a nap, like, "Hey, my name is Halbin, and I own a social media marketing agency, and I want to do business with you." No, you guys don't want to do that. Neither do you want to sound so scared and unconfident as if that was your first cold call ever. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to speak so fast to get their attention, to get your point across, because otherwise you'll just be sounding like a maniac, or you'll just be sounding like every other salesperson who's trying to sell them their product on a daily basis. So remember this, there is no word that you can say within 5 seconds to get your whole point across. And that brings us to tip number 2, which has to do with rejection. When you pitch any prospect, regardless whether it is cold calling or going door to door, you have to be willing to be told no. See, you gotta understand, nobody likes rejection, but you also gotta understand that nobody can avoid rejection. Even the best cold callers in the world cannot avoid rejection. So you have to be willing to be told no. You have to be willing to be rejected 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. You have to be willing to do so, because when you experience rejection, you are left with 2 choices, which is either you walk away disappointed, mad, angry, or feeling rejected, or you take a step back to look at what you did wrong and how you can improve it for the next time you cold call that client. Which means that maybe you have to tweak a little bit your sales script. Maybe you have to be prepared well enough for the objection that that client is presenting you, and the next time you call them, maybe you didn't present them enough value, or maybe you just caught them at a bad time. But my point is that you have to be willing to be told no. You have to stop acting like a little bitch and take responsibility for everything that happened during the cold call. Moreover, when you're being rejected, you are given the opportunity to see what you could do better next time to earn their business. How can you be more effective? And how can you actually make them your client? And that brings us to the 3rd tip, which is ask questions. Now, what do I mean by asking questions? You have to be willing to be comfortable enough to ask your prospect questions that will help you understand where are they at, what have they tried, and how has it worked for them. Because this gives you a better opportunity to present them with the right product that will actually solve the problems that they have. Now, you got to keep in mind, at that stage, you're not selling, you're just simply asking and being a listener. And since you're going to be doing this in the earliest stage of your sales process, understand that you're going to be using this information to later make sense of your proposal to them. Now, that brings us to a 4th tip, which is handling objections and handling complaints. So the 5 simple steps that I use into handling any objection is, first of all, you have to listen to it, you have to acknowledge it, you have to isolate the objection, you have to validate it, whether it's a real objection or it's just a complaint, and then you have to handle the objection. So the number 1 objection that every salesperson will come across is the one that says your product is way too expensive. And this is how I handle that objection. Well, I understand and I agree with you. In fact, most of the clients that I currently work with agreed at some point that this is a big investment, and that's why I urge you that we start right now, and that way you can start seeing the return on your investment as soon as possible. Now, on the other hand, complaints don't need to be handled because they're just complaints. So what I usually do is that, hey, I agree with you because the same exact thing has happened to me before, and then I move into the next step. Lastly, tip number 5, and the most important tip in this video, it's follow-up, guys. You guys have to follow up. And why is that? Because During the follow-up, it's when you have your second, third, fourth, fifth chance of fixing what you did wrong during the previous call. Whether that means that now you're better prepared for the objections that they presented to you last time, whether that means that now you have tweaked a little bit your sales script to make you sound less salesly and more like you actually do want to help them, or whether that means that now you will have the opportunity to catch them in a good time. Because guys, remember, we are all humans. They're humans too, just like you are, and obviously they will be going through bad times at their jobs. There'll be times where they'll feel mad and depressed, just like every other human. So therefore, you want to make follow-up one of your number one priorities when you cold call. Because remember, just as Grant Cardone says, barely anybody closes a deal during the first call. It usually takes place between the fifth or the sixth call. So with that being said, you have to make follow-up, like literally, as I said previously, one of your top priorities. And that, guys, bring this video to the end. So please make sure that you like this video and you subscribe to my channel, and that way you will stay tuned to all of the knowledge that I will be posting later on this week. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next one.